Row over Karnataka #1 in corruption, remark by Chief Minister Siddaramaia's economic advisor. He later denies making any such remarks. Blames past BJP's rule, saying it was the BJP who tainted Karnataka's image. Another Air India P-gate. Passenger urinates on a fellow passenger in a Delhi to Bangkok flight. Delhi's power demand peaks with rising temperatures. 5,029 megawatts demand on April 8th was the highest this year, basically referring to the heat wave that's hit the national capital, could very well cut across India. It's just the beginning, could get worse. Taking you through our top story tonight. India's 17 years of wait is finally over. After 17 long years, justice may finally catch up. Tahawwur Rana, the man who helped plan the deadliest terror attacks on Indian soil, is finally being brought back to face law. Here, he's accused of playing a central role in the 26/11 attacks that left 175 dead, including 20 brave security personnel and 26 foreign nationals. A crime that shook the soil of this country, and now it's time for India to avenge 26/11. Two high-security jails, one in Delhi, another in Mumbai, have been quietly put on alert as the United States finally has given a green signal for Rana's extradition. In fact, we hear Rana is already with the Indian agencies. He's been taken into custody already. A 7-member team led by NIA IG Ashish Batra and DIG Jaya Roy, along with officers from RAW and the Ministry of External Affairs, have landed in the US. They, in fact, the last few days have been working extensively towards completing his extradition formalities. And finally, it's been a success. Because of the high-risk nature of this operation, Tahawwur Rana is being brought back, flown back on a private jet under tight security. Once he lands in Delhi, the NIA will formally take custody and begin his interrogation at its headquarters. And after that, Rana will be moved to Mumbai on transit remand to face trial. India has waited for 17 years for. Now, Rana wasn't just an accomplice. I'll tell you why he's so important. He was the vital link between David Headley and Pakistan's ISI. Together, they mapped out Mumbai, recorded videos, picked the targets, did a complete recce on how to carry out those strikes in Mumbai. It was Rana's immigration firm, First World Immigration Services, that was used as a front for the reconnaissance. In fact, David Headley posed as a businessman and moved in and out of India using a US passport. According to the 2023 charge sheet filed by the Mumbai police, Tahawwur Rana was in the city days before the attack, the 26/11 attack. He stayed at a 5-star hotel from November 11th to 21st and then took off before the strike. Police have also recovered emails from David Headley and Rana. In fact, both sharing emails, sharing information and directions and updates on how to move forward. That's David Headley, who's a Pakistani American who seems to be a key conspirator. He's in fact been convicted in a US court. Headley has pleaded guilty in a US court. He in fact was the one who exposed the entire operation and the links to Lashkar-e-Taiba's involvement here and the role of Pakistan's deep state. Rana's testimony, as per investigation, Tahawwur Rana also has testified in the United States, and his testimony has also revealed key links to Pakistan. Now, for the first time, we get Rana on Indian soil. He gets to face the law right here in Indian courts. The aim of the attack was quite clear. The 26/11 attacks was done primarily to strike fear in India, down India's global image and to hit out at Americans and Israelis as well as Indians. We know that Pakistan, the deep state, Islamists look at Americans and Israelis as #1 enemies. And of course, the Pakistani hate for India. A 4-day siege that turned Mumbai into a war zone, from the Taj Hotel, the Oberoi Trident to the Nariman House and CST station. Now, 10 heavily armed terrorists from Lashkar-e-Taiba entered the city by sea, armed with automatic rifles and grenades. 9 were gunned down, except for Ajmal Kasab. Kasab was arrested. But the mastermind, like Tahawwur Rana and David Headley were sitting far away. They were the ones who orchestrated the entire thing. In fact, got these terrorists trained in Pakistan and were sent to Mumbai for the strike. Rana was one among them, key conspirator of 26/11. The return of Tahawwur Rana is more than legal win here for India. It's a moment of reckoning. India has waited for 17 long years to bring this man to justice. That moment is finally here.
You all aware that the US Supreme Court rejected his plea. As far as the extradition of Mr. Rana is concerned, at this point in time, I don't have an update, but we'll provide you an update at the appropriate time.
देखिए, ये भारत के लिए बहुत बड़ी रणनीतिक विजय है कि तहव्वुर राणा को अब भारत आना ही पड़ेगा और भारत के कानूनों का सामना करना पड़ेगा। प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने बार बार कहा कि जिन्होंने भारत के साथ छल किया वो 7 समंदर के पीछे भी छिपे होंगे, तो मोदी सरकार उनको ढूंढ करके लाएगी और उन्हें हिंदुस्तान के कानूनों के अनुसार सजा दी जाएगी।
नहीं, वो तो सही है, जिसने आतंकवाद किया हो उसको कड़ी से कड़ी सजा मिलनी चाहिए। अब तो अमेरिकी अदालत ने कह दिया, उसने बहुत कोशिश की इस बात की कि उसको जो है किसी तरह से राहत मिल जाए, भारत न लाया जा सके, लेकिन भारत अमेरिकी अदालतों ने उसकी याचिका खारिज कर दी। उसको भारत आना पड़ेगा और कड़ी से कड़ी सजा उसके अपराध की मिलेगी।
One for justice in India of those who were killed on that horrific days. And second, it's a very good step, I think, in cooperation between America and India in terms of criminal elements, with transnational crime, terrorism. So it's a very good indication of the growing cooperation between the two countries on that. But first and foremost, it's that justice coming back, and with this, India will learn many things by interrogation of this gentleman.
All right, the Waqf bill has been passed, but seems like protests continue to escalate in different parts of the country. Let's take you through Jammu and Kashmir's assembly. The House witnessed huge scuffle and a showdown there, while the NC insisted on having a discussion on the Waqf bill. They wanted the adjournment to be announced by the Speaker. In fact, they wanted nothing and no other business to unfold in the Assembly House except for discussions on the Waqf. And that's when we saw huge scuffle that broke out between AAP's lone MLA, Mehraj Malik, and some of the BJP legislators. That's Mehraj Malik on our screens there. The clash broke out over Malik's demand for a debate on the Waqf Amendment Act of 2025. BJP MLA Vikram Randhawa accused Malik of making some derogatory remarks against Hindus. Randhawa responded and he said, and I quote, "We won't tolerate this. We will answer and respond to him in the House itself." So there were some reports that initially surfaced that the BJP MLAs, some of them, almost attacked and assaulted the AAP MLA.
हिंदुओं को गाली दी है, ये MLA बन के आ गया, कुछ भी करेगा, इसको नहीं शेयर करेंगे। इसने गालियां दी आज भी हिंदुओं को कि हिंदू तिलक लगा के पाप करता है, हिंदू तिलक लगा के चोरियां करता है। इसको बताएंगे आज। गाली इसने क्या दी? ये बोल रहा है जगह जगह कि हिंदू तिलक लगा के चोरियां करता है, हिंदू तिलक लगा के पाप करता है, हिंदू तिलक लगा के शराब पीता है। इसको बताएंगे हिंदू क्या क्या करता है।
Some of the very upset BJP MLAs there. In fact, the exchange was so heated, finally marshals had to intervene to separate the members and try and bring in some element of peace there. Speaker Kavinda immediately adjourned the House for 3 hours, but the storm did not end. Malik also locked horns with PDP MLA Wahid Para, accusing him of shielding mafia elements and of being party, basically acting BJP and attacking him.
एसएसपी को जब बोला कहता आपको तमीज नहीं है, वो कौन होता मुझे अरे उसका काम गेट के बाहर है, वो मुझे बताएगा। वो मुझे बताएगा एसएसपी पे कौन। अरे आपने नहीं देखा, आपने नहीं देखा बाहर का? अरे बाहर का तमाशा देखो, बाहर भीड़ कितनी।
Meanwhile, National Conference legislators, NC leaders continued their demand for a discussion on the Waqf Act, saying amendments hurt the autonomy of religious bodies. But Speaker refused to allow the debate, saying it wasn't part of listed business in the House. With repeated disruptions and no consensus in the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly over Waqf, the Assembly finally adjourned for the day. And this was 4 days of deadlock there on the Waqf issue. It brings the chaos there to a close, along with the Jammu and Kashmir's Assembly session itself, which was supposed to be its maiden budget sitting. Waqf protests in West Bengal were far more violent and dangerous. Mamata Banerjee, the chief minister there, has promised that she will not implement the Waqf Act in West Bengal. A big statement to say, not too sure how much of that will hold good under the court and the rule of law. Fresh political storm that's erupted after the centre officially notified the Waqf Act. But Mamata Banerjee in West Bengal says that she is going to ensure that Waqf properties are protected. Speaking at a Jain community event in Kolkata, Mamata said that the Waqf Act will not be implemented in Bengal. A very clear statement that she made, assuring the gathering there that minorities and their priorities will be protected, urging communities not to fall for any kind of provocation. Basically hinting at, directly pointing fingers at the BJP, saying don't fall for their attempts to divide and rule. She's hit out at the timing of the law itself, citing violence in Murshidabad. She said, and I quote, "We have 33% minorities in Bengal. What am I supposed to do to protect them? I will and must protect them. Don't fall for any kind of divisive policies. Stay united. I will ensure Waqf properties are intact."
देखिए, आप लोगों को दिल में दुख हुआ है वक़्फ़ प्रॉपर्टी के लेके। आप भरोसा रखिए, बंगाल में ऐसा कुछ नहीं होगा जिसमें कोई डिवाइड एंड रूल होगा। आप लोगों ने ये मैसेज दीजिए कि सबको एक साथ में रह के बचना है, जियो और जीने दो।
There had been a law and order problem. Stone pelting हुआ था, पुलिस का 2 गाड़ी जला दिया, and we had used all legal action. We have taken all legal action. 22 we have arrested 22 miscreants. उसमें से 8 को हम पुलिस कस्टडी में ले रहे हैं फॉर फर्दर इन्वेस्टिगेशन। केस हुआ है।
अरे बंगाल में जंगल राज तो एपीचमेंट पॉलिटिक्स के लिए हो रहा है, तुष्टीकरण का पॉलिटिक्स हो रहा है, इसलिए बंगाल में ये लोग कर रहा है। दूसरा प्रदेश में करने का मौका नहीं मिल रहा है। वहाँ पुलिस लॉफुल एक्शन लेता है, यहाँ पुलिस लॉफुल एक्शन नहीं लेता है ड्यू टू पुलिस मिनिस्टर है जो है चीफ मिनिस्टर ममता बनर्जी।
Meanwhile, you also have Congress leader Rahul Gandhi slamming the Waqf Act, calling it an assault on the Constitution and freedom of religion. Remember, the Congress has also reached the Supreme Court fighting against the Waqf Act. Now, the Constitution and freedom of religion is being violated, says the MP of the Congress, Rahul Gandhi, speaking on the final day of the AICC meeting in Ahmedabad. Rahul Gandhi said the act undermines core constitutional values.
The BJP and the RSS are attacking our institutional framework, and they think that just because they are in power, they have huge amount of financial capacity that nobody is going to resist them. They are absolutely wrong. The Congress worker and the Congress party and the large mass of India's people are going to fight for this constitution and are going to defeat the RSS and the BJP.
All right, in the state of Telangana, BJP's MLA Singh he's basically got into legal trouble. Raja Singh, who is known for making hate speeches, has faced legal action by the Telangana government. Let me take you through what exactly the sections are. Raja Singh, first of all, who's known for his unfiltered and often provocative language. His public remarks there knows no boundaries, frequently attracting accusations of hate speech or communal overtones. Known for that. Now, during the Ram Navami procession in Hyderabad, BJP MLA Raja Singh made several controversial statements. He's been called out for it. He advocated for transforming India into a Hindu Rashtra and proposed a march to Maharashtra to demolish the grave of Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb. Remember, this comes at a time when already you saw a riot-like situation in Nagpur over the same issue of Aurangzeb's tomb. Here is BJP MLA insinuating likely a comment like this could lead to tensions. Thankfully, it hasn't. But here is Raja Singh now facing legal action by the Telangana government. A case on the MLA has been booked on videos where he's heard making allegedly hate speeches. Police have said that they have collected videos as evidence. This MLA now faces Section 221 of the BNS along with 351 and 352, all sections that crack down on hate speech. Let's listen in.
मोदी काल में, योगी काल में अब आतंकियों के लिए कोई स्थान नहीं है। आतंक के लिए एक ही स्थान है, वो है पास भेजने का काम योगी जी और मोदी जी करेंगे। मेरे मित्रों, आज मैं उस बड़े बुलडॉग ओवैसी को कहना चाहूंगा कि जरा भोगना बंद कर दे, क्योंकि अब वक्फ बोर्ड पर कानून बिल आ गया है, कानून पास हो गया है।
Remember, in a state like Telangana, political identities are often closely tied to their social and cultural narratives. Raja Singh, with this combative style of politics, has very well understood the far-reaching implications that his statements have. It is to be noted that despite several run-ins with the law and even his own party members basically despising what he says, he's been suspended from the BJP itself in the past. This man still continues to make communally divisive statements very brazenly, knowing well that his words resonates with his vote bank, and that's brought him electoral dividends as well. Karnataka's film star, now a murder accused, Darshan is now being investigated for receiving VIP treatment in prison. Let me take you through. Over the past 6 months, allegations had surfaced that Darshan, one of Kannada cinema's biggest stars, received royal treatment during his stay in prison. Now, speaking about celebrity privilege behind bars, it's not only at this point highlighting the systematic failure and lapse within the prison administration itself, but also shows how VIPs get to remain VIPs while behind bars as well. Darshan has now come under scrutiny for allegedly receiving special treatment while lodged in Bengaluru's Parappana Agrahara Central Jail. The Karnataka Home Department has now granted permission into the conduct of the jail authorities involved in the matter. After nearly 6 months, permission has been granted to interrogate the jail officials regarding VIP treatment that Darshan had received, where he was seen. In fact, images were out on that as well. Smoking, drinking coffee, speaking on video calls, all inside prison. And that wouldn't have happened without an insider aiding him. Special investigation has been launched, questioning jail officers and staff members, recording their statements as well. The probe that's currently being carried out under the Prevention of Corruption Act highlights the seriousness of the allegations. So there are 3 cases registered against Darshan. One is related to Darshan allegedly receiving cigarettes inside prison. 2, involving the unauthorized use of a mobile phone within jail premises. And 3, focus on the role of prison authorities in facilitating these privileges to Darshan and investigating any potential corruption or collusion that may have happened. Authorities claim that they have obtained sufficient evidence indicating the involvement of certain officials in these incidents. In fact, police have stated that charge sheets in all 3 cases are expected to be submitted soon. The ongoing investigation is likely to expose the extent of misconduct and bring the implicated officials to justice. The broader issue here, of course, needs to be looked into is how celebrity status is blurring the lines of accountability and fair treatment. Jails are meant to be just that, jails. They are correctional facilities, but looks like for the VIPs, it's often a place away from home, seemingly out of public sight. People hoping that they are in a facility, a correction facility, so that they repent and regret if they've committed the crime. But here you have flagrant misuse of power. Let's hope the officials come down to actually implicating those responsible for it, so at least we as public can have some faith in the justice system. Now, Delhi seems to be one of the worst hit. Heat wave that's excruciatingly painful in different parts of India. The Met Department has warned temperatures across northern and central India, including Haryana, Punjab, Rajasthan, Gujarat, and of course the national capital Delhi, could reach up to 40 degrees Celsius. The IMD has predicted extreme heat across Uttar Pradesh for April, May and June. So maximum temperatures are expected to stay above 40 degrees Celsius, especially in the Bundelkhand region. The situation will improve after 48 hours. So the next 2 days is going to be bad, real bad. There will be light rainfall in Himalayas for the next 4 to 5 days, but doesn't seem like that relief will pass on to the national capital. All right, shifting our focus to the Trump tariff escalation. Now, major escalation in the US-China trade war. President Donald Trump is set to impose a staggering 104% tariff on all Chinese imports starting Wednesday. The announcement has come from White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. In fact, these new levies are on top of existing tariffs that were already in place before Trump began his second term. Let's hear it.
Right now, China is paying a 104% tariff. Think of it, 104%. Now, it sounds ridiculous, but they charged us for many items 100%, 125%. Many countries have. They've ripped us off left and right. Until they make a deal with us, that's what it's going to be. I think they'll make a deal at some point. China will. They want to make a deal. They really do. They want to make a deal. They just don't know how to get it started. Because they're proud people.
Now, meanwhile, Beijing has hit back at Donald Trump for 104% tariff. And it seems like China has also responded with additional tariffs. And while that said, China, of course, calling for India to unite so that India and China could fight back the United States. A very unlikely gesture there from China at this point. But let me take you through the story here.
China retaliated against US tariffs on Wednesday. Beijing announced it will impose 84% tariffs on US goods from Thursday, up from 34% previously announced. It's the latest aggressive move in a global trade war started by US President Donald Trump. US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent called China's latest move unfortunate and a losing proposition for Beijing. Trump's reciprocal tariffs on dozens of countries took effect earlier Wednesday and saw massive 104% duties on Chinese goods. The tariffs have shaken a global trading order that has persisted for decades. It's further raised fears of recession and wiped trillions of dollars off the market value of major firms. Trump nearly doubled duties on Chinese imports, which had been set at 54% last week. That was in response to previous counter-tariffs from Beijing. Earlier in the day, China called its trade surplus with the US an inevitability. And Beijing warned it had the determination and means to continue the fight if Trump kept hitting Chinese goods. China also told the World Trade Organization Wednesday US tariffs threaten to further destabilize global trade.
Meanwhile, China is now calling for unity with India. Spokesperson of the Chinese embassy in India, Yu Jing, has said both countries should stand together against what he called US abuse of tariffs. Chinese embassy further says, and I quote, "Facing the US abuse of tariffs, which deprives especially global south countries of their right to development, the two largest developing countries should now stand together to overcome difficulties." The comments came as both China and India are currently facing rising pressure from new Trump tariffs, threatening supply chains, exports and growth across Asia. A recession inevitable. I remember amid Trump's tariff announcements, there are some countries that are winners here. Analysts say some exporters may benefit from trade being rerouted away from the United States and its primary targets. Here's a look.
If you look at that,
just days after President Donald Trump announced sweeping tariffs which shocked global markets, some of the US's allies, like the European Union and Japan, were among those hardest hit, with 20% tariffs or more. But which countries were emerging as potential winners in Trump's trade war?
we will impose a 25% tariff.
Rivals from Brazil to Egypt to Turkey see a silver lining. They could provide trade opportunities, while other countries are hit by much larger US levies. Brazil not only escaped with the lowest, quote, reciprocal tariff of 10%, but the could also benefit from China's retaliatory tariffs, likely to hit US farm exporters. Egypt too. A garments manufacturer there said Trump's move gives the country, quote, a very good opportunity to grow. That's as industry competitors Bangladesh and Vietnam, which both run big surpluses with the US, await 37% and 46% levies. And Turkey, whose iron, steel and aluminium exports took a hit from earlier US tariffs, now also stands to benefit, as other global traders endure even higher tariffs. Despite a tariff of 26%, India is looking for opportunity in its Asian rivals' greater misery. According to a government report shared with Reuters, the sectors where India can gain US market share include textiles, apparel and footwear. India is also hoping to gain a bigger share of Apple's iPhone manufacturing from China because of the tariff differential. But the 26% tariff could still make the phone substantially more expensive in the US. Ultimately, however, the risk of a tariff-induced recession will limit the upsides for any international trader. Reuters Econ World podcast host Carmel Crimmins.
When the US economy suffers, everyone suffers. So, relatively speaking, there may be some winners, but in absolute terms, everyone's a loser.
The latest US tariffs came into effect on April the 9th.
A night of tragedy a night of partying, in fact, turned into tragedy. The celebrations that was fatal in Dominican Republic. At least 113 people are dead, 250 injured after the roof of an iconic nightclub collapsed in the capital, Santo Domingo. Let's take a look.
Dozens died after a roof collapsed Tuesday at a nightclub in Santo Domingo, the capital city of the Dominican Republic. Local authorities say a provincial governor as well as former Major League Baseball players Octavio Dotel and Tony Blanco were among the dead. They also say more than 150 people were injured. The disaster struck during a concert by popular Dominican singer Robbie Perez, who was also killed, according to his manager and family members. The event was attended by politicians, athletes and other prominent figures. Officials are still investigating the cause of the roof collapse. A spokesman for the nation's sports ministry said the ex-MLB pitcher Octavio Dotel died on the way to a local hospital after being pulled from the debris. The 51-year-old debuted for the New York Mets in 1999 and played until 2013 for more than a dozen teams, including the Astros, Yankees and White Sox.
All right, on that note, I'm slipping into a short break. We'll be right back with our deep dive segment, our top story on how an Indian entrepreneur was harassed at the United States airport. She calls out the US immigration officials, saying that this was biased, that treatment like that was not needed, asking if Indians are helpless outside India. More on that on the other side.
What does it take to be the greatest in the world? There is one thing which truly sets you apart. Your inner strength. Sodium DMT Reebok. True inner strength.
I need expert performance. I need my carrier. Smash your way to glory at the News 9 Corporate Badminton Championship. Get ready for the ultimate badminton showdown. News 9 presents the biggest corporate championship, a battle of skill, speed and supremacy. Cash prize of 6 lakh rupees across categories. Venue, Pulela Gopichand Badminton Academy, Hyderabad. Dates, May 9th to May 11th. A chance to showcase your talent and make a mark. The court is set. Are you ready? Register now.
Bharat welcomes the world to a new era of creativity. Waves, World Audio Visual and Entertainment Summit. Connecting creators through Creative Sphere. Wave Accelerator. Waves Bazaar.
Where stories, ideas and content go global.
Connecting countries through global media dialogue and Bharat Pavilion.
Shaping narratives and partnerships. Culture, cinema, gaming. Waves fuels the next wave of entertainment.
Connecting creators, connecting countries. Waves 2025.
In the age of OTT platforms, to watch or not to watch? That's the question. Because you are what you watch. It's our review, but your choice to skip it or stream it. Hello and welcome. I'm Krishna Kumar. This is Skip It, Stream It.
Welcome back, taking you through our top story. An Indian woman says she was detained, stripped of her warm clothes, denied a phone call and interrogated by the FBI at the United States airport, with a male officer physically checking her. She narrates her ordeal. Entrepreneur Shruti Chaturvedi's post on X has gone viral quite naturally. She recounts what she calls a nightmare at the Anchorage Airport, Alaska. The founder of a PR firm, Chai Pani, Shruti says that she was held for 8 hours over what they claim was a suspicious power bank in her luggage. So here's what happened. Shruti and her friend were flying out of the United States on separate flights. Her friend checked in first, and it was her friend who in fact had the power bank in her hand baggage. Authorities detained her friend and she called Shruti. When Shruti reached out to the airport police, Shruti also was held. And that's when it all began, what she calls the most humiliating hours of her life. Both women are now out of the United States, and that's when Shruti put out this ordeal on her X platform. She's chosen to speak out. Now, let's be honest, this isn't the first time an Indian has faced this kind of treatment at an airport in the United States. Remember Shah Rukh Khan? And he's not alone. We know that multiple people who faced similar harassment. There you have it. You have 2001 Kabir Khan, who faced similar incidents. If we could take you through a couple of names there. There you have Amir Khan in 2002 at Chicago Airport, similar incident. You have George Fernandez. The names that keep popping up. Irfan Khan, who faced similar harassment at LA Airport, and John Abraham as well in 2009. And these are top faces, big stars, including Mammootty, who faced similar harassment at an airport in the United States. Neil Nitin Mukesh, right? So, of course, these names are big. Shruti is not the only one. She too is a reputed Indian who's faced this kind of harassment. Now, what's the reason for it? Why does this keep happening to Indians? As Shruti puts it, are Indians made to feel powerless the moment they step outside their country? What can you do if you ever find yourself in a similar situation? What are your rights? Who do you contact? What is the Indian government's responsibility in such cases? We're asking these questions here, and joining me to discuss a little more is former Ambassador Manju Seth, former Indian diplomat, and Captain Kishore Chinta, Chief Pilot of Sirius India Airlines Private Limited. Madam Manju, your take on this. I can't help but ask, could this be a racial attack?
I think it could very well be a racial attack because, yes, Indians are targeted, and one of our diplomats was also strip searched some years ago in New York. And of course, all the people you have mentioned, they were detained at the airport. So I think there is an element of racial bias in the US against Indians, I think. And I've also faced it many years ago when I had gone, about 30 years ago. I was transiting only, and there also they were so rude, and they didn't, because I had a diplomatic passport, they didn't really do anything. But even with that, they were, so rude, and I don't know why. I think it's definitely a bias against Indians. And I think also the other, and especially now with President Trump's very, very strong, anti-immigration and anti-immigrant following, and his policies in that direction have also added, I think, to the overall narrative that the other has to be, the other has to be harassed, and the other has to be made to feel that they're not welcome in the country. I think that could be also it could also have played a part in this. And of course, I think it is a very much a bias against Indians.
And we're looking at a number of instances, not just during the Trump regime, but even previously. Captain Kishore, we hear you may have been a witness to what has happened to Shruti. If you could narrate, what did you see?
Not a witness per se, but I was in the United States when this incident happened. To start with, I think Indians per se, most of the names you've dropped are predominantly business class passengers.
Yeah.
Once you step off the aircraft at the Aero Bridge in the United States, you're no more a business class passenger. Yeah. The biggest leveler, when you get out of the Aero Bridge, you are classified as a normal passenger once you get into the immigration line as a non-US citizen. So that's where the cookie crumbles for most of our Indian business class passengers. I've traveled business class. I've been traveling to United States practically every year since the last 19 years for flying training for simulator in and out of the United States. In fact, the last 1 year I've traveled four times. So there are instances. They are entitled by the law of the land to search if there's even a 0.01% chance of any doubt. And as far as power banks is concerned, we do not know what was the size of the power bank. Of course, you can carry a power bank up to 100 watt hours. That's almost 27,000 mAh. Average normal people carry up to 10,000 mAh. So I don't see a reason why a power bank in carry-on baggage would have triggered an alarm. It could be maybe it generates heat, because there are ways and means when the baggage goes through the checking. If a particular item is generating heat, it could be subject that there might be a thermal runaway with that particular power bank, and it's a dangerous item for them.
But interestingly, it was Shruti's friend who had a power bank in her bag. But when Shruti tried to reach out to her friend, she got arrested and she had to face that 8-hour ordeal. What really is the reason there?
Detaining for questioning is the law of the land. It happens to multiple people. I know
agree,
an American
but
pilot.
To the extent of her missing her flight, that almost seems like a deliberate attempt to harass.
Yes, I do not deny that there is a bias, but you got to hand it to the airport security that if a person is unruly or undeniably is aggressive with the TSA authorities, they might be detained. So even in India, if you are rude or unruly with the CISF, they are well within their rights to do a secondary screening check for any passenger. All these celebrities which we are name dropping in India, they're used to being just run through as far as airport security is concerned. And when they go through a true blue airport security in an international airport, they cry foul. So it's a mix and match of both. We really don't know the exact details other than what Ms. Shruti has put out on her X platform. We have to draw a very thin line between inconvenience versus injustice.
Right. Ambassador, could you give us a little more on the Indian mission's role in cases like this? Is there a protocol in place to intervene or support Indian citizens real time? Because we know Shruti did try and contact with the Indian embassy but couldn't get through.
Yes, we do have a system in place where if anyone reaches out to us, any Indian citizen reaches out to us, even Indian origin person reaches out to the embassies, and we have a round-the-clock phone in almost all our embassies and consulates where someone is there to answer. I am surprised that, but she didn't have a phone from what she has said. She wasn't allowed to make even one call. And, if she's allowed to make a call and if she has a number of the nearest consulate or nearest embassy or the nearest place where the embassy is available, embassy services are available, definitely we have a system in place 24/7 where the phone is answered and someone does reach out to the authorities to at least ensure a fair treatment. It should not be biased. But I think in this particular case, she was not even allowed to contact anyone. And I don't know, when she came out of the airport and into I don't know which other city in the US, if she did try to reach out, I'm surprised that nobody answered, because usually we have a system where somebody or the other does answer the phone 24/7, and we do help out when it's possible. But if it's something, if it's some security related issue, then it's not. Our intervention is normally not heard. Because they say this is security related, please don't tell us to, compromise on security.
Understood. But, I'd just like to ask a plain question, Captain. And finally, in your experience, do you see of flying years, do you see other nationalities, people from different countries, especially Western countries, being treated in a similar way at US airports? Or do you feel this is a bias more to do with?
They're totally unbiased when it comes to any form of doubt which arises, especially post 9/11. I have travelled post 9/11 plenty of times. I have been pulled out for secondary screening for a couple of years. They were apologetic, said that you tick off all the markers for us post 9/11, Asian, dark-skinned, and being a pilot. And I took it in full spirit. So even Ms. Shruti, she didn't cry foul till she left the soil of United States. She went on a trip. She enjoyed the Northern Lights. Only when she came out of the United States did she cry foul that she was harassed. So that leaves me with taking the case with a pinch of salt. We do not know the full details. If there was substance to the report, she is well within her rights to file a harassment report, either with the Indian consulate or after coming back with the Ministry of External Affairs. And the FAA and the TSA are duty bound to provide all the footage of what happened over there.
Excellent. Madam Ambassador, final word from you. Do you see this often with people of other Western countries, or in your view, this is more specific to brown-skinned travelers?
Yes, in the US and other Western countries, yes, it is more towards non-fair skin, should I say, and towards bias towards Asians, Indians. I particularly have, and as very rightly mentioned by Captain, it is so ingrained. I think sometimes they don't even think. They assume that because they are suspect because they are of another color. And I think that is not a very positive thing. And we were hoping that once India-US ties become better.
As much as we hope for that, what is India doing diplomatically to ensure that our citizens are treated more with dignity?
We take it up absolutely at every level, even at the minister's level and prime minister's level, and even the recent deportations we have taken up, and we have told them this is not acceptable, but they've done it. And I think for messaging purposes or for whatever, but definitely we take it up, and we will take it up. And if this is brought to the notice of the ministry, as mentioned by Captain, that a report should be filed, and we will definitely take it up